What's up, guys? We are live. Today we're going to break down UFC 231, T-City versus Max Holloway. And also we're going to do a recap of the two cards this weekend. We had the Australia card, UFC Adelaide, and Tough 28 finale. Sorry we're late. We're 30 minutes late because of me, because my fat ass is eating Chipotle. So joining me is, my co-host Kelton. Kelton, how do you like UFC 231? And how did you like the card this weekend?
As for these past two cards, I think we had an awesome weekend of MMA for sure. Awesome weekend of combat sports, man. I don't know if you caught that Tyson Fury Deontay Wilder fight. That was amazing. Two cards both brought action. It was fun, man, for sure. As for UFC 231, it's definitely a step up from these watered down fight nights we've been getting. This card is stacked top from bottom, man. I'm really excited to talk about it.
Yeah, man. So let's talk about. We'll do a recap real quick of the two cards. We'll keep it short. We're not going to talk about every fight. So Usman versus RDA. Yeah, Usman looked good this fight, man. I mean, so there's some fights he skips 30%, kind of like you said, the whole joke. But he looked really good. He looked dominant out there. He won. I mean, do you think he won every round? I thought it was pretty dominant, man. I think a couple of the judges said that he lost a couple of rounds, but I think he won every round, man. His cardio looked good. His striking looked a lot better. I mean, he's huge, man. He's definitely way bigger than Colby. Yeah, man, good performance for Usman. RDA, he's just not going to hang with those good wrestlers, man. Matchup wise, obviously, we're not going to do matchup for every fight, but I think Usman should not be fighting Woodley next. I think Usman deserves one more fight. I think he should fight either Wonder Boy or Ponzi. And for RDA, I don't know where he goes from here. I really don't. Maybe give him a guy outside the top 15. I'm not really sure, but yeah. What about you?
Man, I think this was Kamaru Usman's best performance to date for sure, man. I thought he showed a complete MMA game. I think he still keeps showing improvements. I mean, what can you say about this guy? What 9-0 in the UFC now? I've had the pleasure to watch him fight live. He's a specimen of a wrestler, man. I mean, look at the record on this guy. Wins over Leon Edwards, Rafael dos Anjos, Damian Maia, even guys like Sean Strickland and Sergio Moraes on the way up. Kamaru Usman, in my opinion, deserves a title shot. I think he needs to. I think Colby deserves it right now for sure, being the interim champion and all. But I think if Usman's smart, he should wait for the winner of Woodley versus Covington. So I think Usman deserves the title shot, man. And in my opinion, I've been saying it all along. I think Usman is a slightly better version of Colby, and the only thing I've been saying Colby has up on Usman is the cardio, but I don't know, man. Watch those Colby versus RDA and Usman versus RDA fights. I thought Usman might have looked a little fresher than Colby over those fights. So I've been saying it all along. I hope it happens one day. I hope Colby beats Tyron so we can see Kamaru versus Colby for the belt. It's going to be awesome, man. Welterweight division is my favorite division in the UFC easily.
Yeah, same here, 100%. So next fight, we had the jobberweight heavyweight fight. We had Justin Frazier versus Juan Espino. I don't really need to talk about this fight. Frazier's probably not going to get another chance in the UFC. Espino should get a rematch with Maurice Green. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, Justin Frazier, he shouldn't get a contract in the UFC. That was really bad. Has there ever been a heavyweight key lock submission in the UFC before?
I don't think so. Yeah, that was embarrassing. I thought he was gonna win, man. I mean, I wasn't confident. I didn't bet him, obviously, but I thought Frazier was gonna win.
Yeah, big props to Juan Espino, though. I know he comes from like a really small island, the Canary Islands, so it's always cool to see guys like that put really, really small parts of the world like on the MMA map. So props to him. We'll see how far he can go. I think he's a little long in the tooth. He's like 36, 37, 38, something like that. But maybe he'll actually win a few fights. Didn't look too bad. He was definitely the best guy of the season, in my opinion. Let's see him versus Maurice Green.
Rematch is do it, man. That'll be a good fight.
Yeah.
You want me just to call every fight?
Yeah, I mean, we can go through some quicker than others, but for sure. I mean, main card, definitely.
Yeah, Macy Chase on, man. I should have bet her, man. I mean, I was high on the girl. The only reason why I stayed away is because the experience level. I mean, she's only fought like 3 or 4 pro fights, and Pandy looked pretty good on the show. I picked Macy. I didn't bet her. I had her on DraftKings, and she dominated the fight, man. She's good, man. I think she should drop the 135 because there's not a lot of 45s out there. Like, who's she going to fight next? Megan Anderson? So, I mean, but yeah, I don't know about matchup-wise. I think she should drop the 135 and, fight someone in there. But I think she has a lot of potential. They need to build her up slowly. And for Pandy, she will get another fight, I do think. And she's a small featherweight, man. I think she needs to fight at 135. I don't know who you give her at 135. Give her Cheesecake Moraes. Yeah, that'd be pretty good if I do that. Dude, Cheesecake Moraes versus Pandy. Pandy. What about you?
I'd rather much not see that. I do not want to see that. Let's cut Pandy from the UFC.
I'm down to see that fight.
Pandy is not UFC level in my opinion, but props to Macy. She looked good. Can she even make 130 pounds or 35 pounds? She's huge.
I don't know because I think Will Martin, shout out to him, said that she walks around at 170. So if she does, there's no way she can cut the 135 because she's a huge featherweight. There's just not a lot of featherweights out there. Like, who are you gonna give her next? Like Cyborg?
Exactly.
I don't know.
It sucks how shallow that division is because there's really no fights. Like, she's like, it's like a big totem pole too. None of them are like the same level as each other. Like, Megan Anderson isn't ready for Cyborg. In my opinion, Macy Chiasson probably isn't ready for Megan. Like, there's not a lot of competitive matchups you can make. So it's definitely tough. But if she can make 135, she's a great addition to that weight class. So after her, man, it was Pedro Munoz and Brian Caraway. Pedro Munoz, first round knockout over Brian Caraway. I mean, wow, that was really impressive. No one's ever really ran through Caraway like that. And Caraway was putting up a good fight at first, man. He was using that very unorthodox style of striking. And he was actually coming at Pedro. And, he came out with a good game plan. It just happened that Pedro was just too much for him. So props to Brian. I think he went out on his shield. He fought a good fight. But Pedro Munoz is just he's a serious dude, man, and he hits hard for the division. Pedro's going to win a lot more UFC fights. That dude is very good. I don't know if he's ever going to cross that top 5 hump, but dude's legit for sure. So props to him for doing that to Brian Caraway.
Yeah, I think that Pedro should be fighting Aljo next. I know Aljo's he wants like a top 3 guy, but come on, dude, Aljo, you need to fight someone in the top 10 or top 15. Fight Pedro. I think that'd be a really good fight, actually. To be honest, I don't know who I got pre-tape. I'm always down to fade Aljo, but I mean, he looks so good against Cody. And for Caraway, I mean, you bet Caraway. I picked him. I don't know, man. That was a big setback. I don't know where he goes from here. Maybe give him Brian Kelleher if he loses to
Montel Jackson.
Next fight, Darren Stewart versus Edmund. So we'll talk about our plays real quick. I went 1-1, and I went, I think, minus 1.84 units on the day. And, Darren Stewart just had a bad game plan, man. I mean, I don't know, man. But bad fight IQ. Like, I mean, he got taken down a bunch of times. He got right back up, which was nice. But I think he just got tired, man, from getting taken down. And he had Edmund hurt in the 3rd round. Edmund said that, I wasn't hurt. He was definitely hurt in that fight. Stewart I don't know, man, just bad fight IQ. I don't think he's a jobber, obviously. Like, I still think he can win fights, but I don't know if I'm ever going to bet him again. We'll have to see who he fights next. I know he wants to fight Kevin Holland. I mean, if that happens, that's easy money for Kevin. I think, what they should do is they should give Kevin Holland Edmund. That'd be a great fight. Put that fight in Anaheim because, I think Kevin's from out here. Kevin's from LA, and Edmund trains in Glendale, so that'd be a really good fight. I don't know where they line that fight, but I know who I like in that fight. I'm sure you already know. What about you?
Man, I was really impressed by Edmund. For a 21-year-old kid, I think we definitely underestimated him, man. And as for my plays, I did have a losing night on this card. I lost a small 1-unit play in Caraway. I lost a 2-unit play in Stewart. And then I lost my big play in Alex Green. My only winning play was Kevin Aguilar. But as for this fight, man, yeah, Edmund has a lot of potential. He's pretty big for the division, and dude can wrestle his ass off. He hits really hard. He showed a lot of heart in that 3rd round when Stewart started teeing off on him. He showed a good chin too. Darren Stewart lands hard shots, guys. That was a solid chin from Edmund Shabazian. You can see that they've been breeding this kid for years. I think he has a lot of potential, but he's just very green. So I don't know if I'd want to throw him to the wolves just yet. Kevin Holland, I'd probably have Kevin Holland in that fight, to be honest. Just, I don't know. Edmund's 21 years old. Throw him some jobbers. Let him get some highlight reel finishes. This was a really tough one for UFC debut. So props to him for getting the W, man. Edmund's pretty good. So moving on to the yeah, go ahead.
He has a lot of potential. I do think Edmund has a lot of potential. He surprised me, man. He looked really good cardio. But yeah, I do think he has a lot of potential. Go ahead.
Final first fight on the main card was the Shevchenko sister, Antonina. She defeated Ji-Yeon Kim, 30-27s across the board. Yeah, I mean, levels to this. She was just the better striker. Well, I wasn't too entertained nor too impressed, to be honest. But it was her UFC debut, and Kim's not too bad. So yeah, not much to say. But we'll see where Shevchenko goes from here. As for Ji-Yeon Kim, she needs to make weight first of all. I don't know what that was about, but like 4.5 pounds. It wasn't even just by a little bit. That's a problem. So we'll see where they go from there. What do you think of the Shevchenko sister?
Yeah, I don't care about this fight. Like, I'm literally not. I don't even want to talk about it. I don't care about it. Shevchenko looked pretty decent, but I don't care.
So out of the prelims, what stood out to you? Maybe a couple fights.
Definitely, my winning bet, Roosevelt Roberts, man. I like this guy a lot. I was high on the guy because he lives out here. Damn, dude, like he's good, man. Like he is good. He showed us. I mean, the one thing that we haven't really seen of. Well, I mean, there's not a lot of tape on it to begin with, but his striking, like like obviously, like he's known for his grappling, but his striking was really good. I do think that his striking's really good. To go out there and do that to Horcher, like a first round finish, and he dominated the whole fight. He looked really good. He even ate some big shots. I thought it was an A+ performance. I don't think Horcher gets cut. They're probably going to give him one more fight. But for Roberts, I said Devontae Smith. I think they need to make that fight. That'd be a great fight. Two guys who I actually like a lot. And I mean, I already told you who I would bet in that fight. I would bet Roosevelt Roberts in that fight. I probably bet him -200 or better. I just think that Smith's so good, man. Well, not so good. He's good. He's a really good striker. But Gunther, obviously showed the game plan and how to beat him. And I think Roberts could definitely, mix it up and take him down. So that's just my opinion. What about you?
Yeah, man. Congrats on that bet. Roosevelt Roberts is definitely a prospect in that division. He's a serious athlete, and that was a very impressive finish. Dude's got a nice little grappling game, and there was a lot of prospects on this card, man. Raoni Barcelos, he could be a real big player in that bantamweight division. He made the 135-pound limit with ease, apparently, and I guess that is really the weight class for him. He looked very impressive. Finished Chris Gutierrez, who is not a bad fighter at all, man. So look out for Raoni Barcelos. Shout out to Tim Means. I think Tim Means was the easiest money of the card. So shout out to anyone who bet on Tim Means. He made that look ridiculously easy. That was definitely the biggest mismatch of the night, man. Yeah, for sure. And then your boy Letson fight was awful. Cut both those girls. Maurice Green, props to him for getting a triangle choke. Your boy Maurice Green. I want to see him versus Juan Espino, that rematch. And then my winning bet, Kevin Aguilar. He 30-27 Rick Glenn across the board. That was really impressive. And then Joseph Benavidez. I really underestimated Joseph Benavidez. I kind of looked into it too much. Like he didn't look too great against Sergio, but then again, like I have to look at the reasons why I even bet on Sergio Pettis in that fight for the first place is because Joe was coming off a layoff. He was coming off an injury. He walked off the rust in that fight, and now he was coming up against a guy who had never fought top 10 talent before, and Benavidez came out with the perfect veteran game plan, and he smoked Alex Perez. He finished him twice in that fight, so he definitely shut me up. Joseph Benavidez is still an elite MMA fighter, and it's interesting. We got the announcement today. Joseph Benavidez is going to be fighting Davison Figueiredo, man. I don't know if that's going to be at 125 or 135, but I have some strong leans on that fight.
That's a good fight, man. That's a really good fight. I think I have Benavidez there pre-tape, but we'll have to see what the tape says. Is there anything else you want to talk about, or you want to go to the Australian card?
Yeah, let's just move on to Adelaide.
So for Adelaide, I'll just do what you just did. I'll just pick up like my fights I want to talk about, then I'll let you. So obviously the main event, I'll keep it short. JDS was losing the fight, and then he got that knockout. It's pretty nice. Tuivasa could have won that fight, but he just, I don't know, man. He got eaten. his chin, like he's tough, but I don't he shouldn't have like he fought sloppy. Like the way he just left his head out there and he got hit with those big shots and then he tried to punch off his back. I don't know. That was just a weird performance. Co-main event, Shogun, Tyson Pedro. God, I can't believe this guy beat Khalil. Dude, Tyson Pedro needs to be on that fade list. I don't know who he fights next. I really don't care. I mean, actually, I do care because if the guy is pretty decent, he's gonna beat him. So my first bet of the night. Let me check real quick. I went 2-1 in my plays. I had a 3.89 unit winning night. So yeah, Tony Martin, man. I don't agree with those judges. They said it was Jack Matthews. First of all, who's Jack Matthews? And number two, what are they smoking? I mean, Jake Matthews won the first round, but Tony won that second round. And damn, dude, Tony Martin, man, like he's good. I actually think he's going to be a top 15 guy. The one thing I will say though, he's a little undersized. Like he only walks around at 175. So he's I don't know, like he looked like a little smaller than Jake Matthews. He's not a small welterweight. He's just not one of the bigger ones. I think he needs to go to 165 once they make that division. I heard he already put that in the post fight conference. But yeah, dude, his submission game's really good. He's looked so good, man, at 170. Jake Matthews, man, he quit again. He's a good fighter, but he quits, man. So I don't know where Jake Matthews goes for here. Maybe give him Nico Price. That'd be a pretty good fight. And for Tony Martin, you got to give him a top 15 guy, man. I say give him Neil Magny. And then so Jimmy Crute, he beat Paul Craig. Yeah, I got to admit, I was sweating a little bit because Paul Craig took him down a couple of times. Crute didn't even really want to strike with him. I mean, I think he wanted to make a statement and tap him out on the ground. That's what he did, man. I mean, he's nasty. Obviously, he's not a Dominic Reyes prospect right now. I mean, Dominic Reyes is top 5 in my opinion. He's in a smoke Lionheart if that fight ever happens. And Jimmy Crute, they need to build him up, man. Give him maybe give him Krylov. I mean, that's kind of a huge step. I don't know, but I think Jimmy Crute can win a lot of fights in the division. Give him John Vellante. That'd be a great fight for Jimmy Crute. I think Jimmy Crute would destroy him. And for Paul Craig, you know what? I was thinking about this. Give him Pat Cummins. I think that would be a loser leaves town fight. And to be honest, I think Paul Craig would lose that fight. I actually think Paul Cummins. I think Pat Cummins would win that fight. Yeah. So, one more thing. So yeah, my losing play. Congrats to you. Wilson Hayes won every round. I mean, I agree with the judges. I do think the fight was maybe a little closer, but I mean, I do think Wilson did win every round. I mean, Ben had his moments, but he just couldn't get up. So yeah, that's enough with me for the card. What about you?
Yeah, man. So the main event, JDS and Tuivasa, that was a great fight while it lasted. I think even in a loss, I was so impressed with Tai Tuivasa in that fight. I thought he was doing exactly what he needed to do, but some greenness showed there. He got a little too overzealous when he hurt JDS. He just got a little too aggressive, and the veteran savvy, the former champ JDS, he's still top 5 guy. He was able to come out there and beat Tuivasa. I honestly think that's a close fight, man. I think if they fought 10 times, each guy would win 5 times. So props to JDS for being the better man that night. He's still an elite guy for sure in that division. He's not that old, especially for heavyweight standards. Shogun knocks out Tyson Pedro in the 3rd round. Tyson Pedro, holy shit, why was he such a big favorite in that fight? I don't know, but I definitely thank Shogun Hua because he won me a lot of money on DraftKings. I definitely appreciate that. I lost a bet on Mark Hunt. He just didn't want to fight against Justin Willis. All 3 judges had it 29-28 for Willis. Me having a bet on Mark Hunt, I actually scored that 30-27 for Willis, just being honest there. Mark Hunt didn't want to fight. Anthony Rocco Martin, Jake Matthews, props to you on that, man. I don't know how the judges had that 2-0 Jake Matthews. That's just mind-blowing to me. It was definitely 1-1. And then, Matthews, I don't know. We'll see where Flake Matthews goes from here. Tony Martin, I said whoever wins this fight is definitely going to be a player in the welterweight division. So I think the sky's the limit for Tony Martin. He's definitely looking the best he ever has. And the Olympian he's dating, Kayla Harrison, maybe that championship mindset's rubbing off on him. We'll see. Sadiq Yusuf was part of my big parlay of the card. He made it look super easy against Suman Mokhtarian. He was probably the easiest money of this card. Jim Crute submitted Paul Craig. I didn't think he was going to submit Paul Craig, honestly, but he did. I think Crute is he's another one of those 20, 21-year-old kids who's been bred to do this pretty much his whole life. He's a little green at this point, but like I said, just throw them jobbers. Paul Craig was the perfect fight for him, so let's see Crute in there with another jobber. Kunchenko versus Ukami, that was a terrible fight, but Kunchenko dominated him. Wilson Hayes versus Ben 10. I had a nice bet on Wilson Hayes there. 3 units, won every single round. It was a close, like for a 30-27, it was a close fight. Like especially rounds 1 and 3 were really close, but Hayes did what he needed to do. They were clear rounds, but they were definitely close rounds. Props to the vet. I mean, Wilson Hayes and Joseph Benavidez, 2 all-time flyweights coming through with great game plans this weekend. And then Kaida versus Salim Touari. That was kind of a boring fight in my opinion. I think Salim showed he doesn't really have too much potential. I scored at 29-28 for Kaida. Kai Kara France, he looked pretty good, but honestly, I think he has a lot of holes in his game. I don't know how far he would go, especially if there was no more flyweight and he was forced to fight a bantamweight. I don't think he would go farther at all. Christos Giagos looked really good. I'm surprised 2 judges scored at 29-28. I scored it for Giagos 30-27. He didn't look bad at all, man. I don't know how far he's going to go, though. I don't know how much improvements he's made from his first stint. And then the first fight of the night capped off my parlay. I won on Damir Ismagulov. He dominated Gorgie's pillar to post. Gorgie's isn't UFC level, and Damir's serious, man. Damir's well-rounded. I'm looking forward to seeing where that guy goes. He was originally supposed to fight Joe Duffy. I hope they eventually make that fight. I think that's a really intriguing matchup. So let's see Damir versus Joe Duffy. Fight in the night on that card was Kai Kara, the Kai Kara fight. That was a good fight. And Shogun and Sodiq got the bonuses. So I had a winning night on Tough Finale, or I had a winning night on Adelaide. I had a losing night on the Tough Finale. So moving on to 231, man. Let's do this.
Let's do this. So the first fight was supposed to be Carlos Diego Ferreira versus Jesse Ronson, but Jesse pulled out of the fight. Apparently, it's to do with weight cut, and Diego was a big favorite. I mean, I wasn't gonna play that fight. I like Diego a lot. I bet him versus Jared Gordon, and he was like, I think I got him like a plus 250 or something like that, which is crazy, man. I think I put 4 units on that. But anything you want to talk about that fight or no? You want to say anything about that?
Not really. I was really looking forward to seeing Diego Ferreira fight though, just because I think he's a really talented fighter, but. Hopefully we get that guy booked quick. As for Jesse Ronson, yeah, cut him for sure.
All right, yeah, you call the next one because I know you have a play on it.
What's the first fight now? Is it Laprise?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we got Chad Laprise minus 350 taking on Diego Lima plus 290. So I have 2 plays this card. I have 1 straight bet. I have 1 parlay. I'm looking to limit myself to only 2-3 plays per card until I really start to get back on track. So starting off with the parlay, man. First half of that is Chad Laprise here. Honestly, Diego Lima. I mean, what can I say? I hate to disrespect fighters, but let's be honest here. He's 1-5 in the UFC for a reason. Not only is there levels to this game, I mean, looking at their UFC records, I mean, I just don't know why they made this fight. Chad Laprise has a winning UFC record. This guy is he's a good fighter, man. Chad Laprise, he takes a lot of slack from some people, but he got knocked out by Trinaldo and Luque. But, I mean, let's be honest. Trinaldo and Luque are top 15 guys. He had the split against Ross Pearson. In my opinion, I thought Laprise won that fight. And I had a bet on Ross Pearson there against Laprise. And even I thought Laprise won that fight. So he has a very good UFC record. And Diego Lima, a lot of people like to joke around about his 6-0 undefeated record in the Tough House. But, I mean, really, if you look at that Tough resume, bro, like that's not a very impressive list of fighters. Toothless Tom, Gilbert Smith, Hayder Hassan, Tim Williams. Like, who cares if this guy went 6-0 on Tough? In the UFC's octagon, he's I want to say he might even be worse than what is that? 1-5, man. That's 1-5. He had a very close fight with Ricky Rainey, a split decision with Ricky Rainey, and I mean, we saw how Ricky Rainey looked this past weekend. I mean, this is just. It's not UFC level fighters, and the only reason he's back in the octagon is because he had that nice run on Tough. But that steroid head, Jesse Taylor exposed him, and then in his last fight, which was really a red flag on the point that I think at this point it's safe to say Diego Lima is he's probably never going to be anywhere near as good as his brother, because he went out there and lost a dominant decision to Yushin Okami, another guy how we saw he looked this past week. And Yushin Okami might be one of the most shot fighters in the UFC, and if you can't even go out there and beat that guy, you're not at the level, man. And Chad Laprise, not only is there levels to this, it's a really bad stylistic matchup, because Diego Lima might not only be one of the worst fighters in the UFC, might have one of the worst chins in the UFC. My boy Chad Laprise hits fucking hard, so I think this is a really bad stylistic matchup as well. So, yeah, I got a total of 6.2 units on that parlay. I think Laprise makes it easy, quick work, first round knockout. What do you think, man?
Yeah, I actually think Laprise is a pretty good fighter, man. He has really good striking. He's super technical out there. He has good wrestling too when he decides to use it. He's beaten some pretty decent guys too. That one, what's his name? What's that one Nigerian guy that he beat that was like a pretty big?
Bafando.
Yeah, man, like that was like surprising. I think a lot of people, man, including me, were picked Bafando in that fight. And Brees went out there and made that look easy. I mean, he got dropped, but he still made it look easy. He's a little chinny. I will say that. He does get dropped a lot, but he definitely has a way better chin than Diego Lima. Diego Lima has one of the worst chins in the UFC. He performs good on tough, but I mean, in the UFC, he's 1-5. Like, he gets knocked out a lot. He's just not. He's not. I don't know, man. Just something like mental with him. I don't think he has confidence. He has decent striking. Like, he is technical. He does have good jiu-jitsu, but he doesn't have good takedown defense either. I think Laprise is better everywhere. And, I think Laprise is going to get a finish here. I'm not playing it just because I don't like parlays, but he was minus 225 at one point, and I was thinking about it, but I didn't do it. But, I like your play. I think Laprise is definitely one of the safest plays in the card. So I got Laprise by a first-round knockout. So next up, we got Brad Katona versus Matthew Lopez. This is a pretty close fight. I've been going back and forth in this fight. Matthew Lopez, was a pretty good prospect when he first came in the UFC. The fight with Yaya was a pretty good fight, even though he lost. He's a big guy, man, for 135. Sometimes I feel like he doesn't take, the weight cut seriously because he doesn't look like in the best in shape. He trained with Justin Gagey. He has a belly, man, for 135. Like, he's not like the best guy in shape, but he does have really good wrestling, man. He has really good pressure too. He gets hit a lot. He doesn't have the best chin. He's been knocked out his last 2 fights. He's going to be a 3-fight losing streak. He loses this fight, and Brad Katona, man. Obviously, Lopez fought better competition, and Katona's definitely he hasn't fought the competition that Matt has, but Katona has a good game. He does train at SBG, which is definitely a camp that a lot of people like to fade. We'll be talking about that camp later. But I like Katona. He's dropping the bantamweight. He's definitely a huge 135er, man. The guy is really shredded. He's good everywhere. He's so technical, really good fight IQ. This guy is super intelligent. Good chin. I mean, he's been in some brawls, man. He has a good chin. I think he's good everywhere, man. Good cardio, good striking, good wrestling. I think, honestly, Matthew Lopez, man, he's won some good fights. He is a pretty decent fighter. He's not. I think he's a jobber by any means, but I just think Brad Katona hasn't beat, man. So I think Katona's gonna win a decision here, man. I think Katona has the better striking, and I think he's gonna win a 29-28 decision. I don't think he's gonna finish Matt Lopez because the guys that finished Lopez, the Sansao and Alejandro Perez, are the two. One's a top 3 guy, another guy's a top 15 guy. I don't think Katona's there yet, but I think it's gonna be a close decision that the Canadian wins. What about you?
Yeah, man, this is a good fight. It's an interesting one. I tend to think that the line is off here. I think Matthew Lopez, he's one of my favorite dogs on the card, honestly. I mean, when it comes to DraftKings punts, for sure. Katona, he trains out of SBG. If we're just being honest, that's a red flag. I mean, what's SBG's record in the UFC this year? I want to say it's something like 2 wins, 5 losses. But to be honest, going back and looking at his debut, I think even though he was fighting a complete jobber in that guy, I can't remember his name. I think he showed he's got some potential. I actually like Brad Katona, and I think he's actually one of the best fighters out of that gym. He's pretty athletic. He's built for sure. I mean, he's a specimen. And Matthew Lopez, for sure, he's on a skid. I believe lost last 3 out of his last 4 fights, but he's losing to the best, man. I mean, he's losing to a submission specialist, Hani Yahya. I mean, how many submissions does that guy have? And that was a UFC debut. Then he won 2 straight. But if you go but look at that Mitch Gagnon, and it's funny that he fought Mitch Gagnon. This is Brad Katona is not the first juice Canadian he'll be fighting in Canada in his career. But Mitch Gagnon, as a bad of a fighter, I think that guy is. He dropped Matthew Lopez here. I think Matthew Lopez might have a little bit of a chin issue, but he's losing to Rafael Assunção and Alejandro Perez in his last 2 fights. So I kind of want to give him the benefit of the doubt here. He's definitely taking a big step down in competition, and this is a huge step up for Brad Katona. So I mean, honestly, when it comes to striking, I think Brad Katona, he's going to land the harder, more effective shots. I think he might even drop Matthew Lopez a couple times. Matthew Lopez, I think he has the advantage on the ground here, if I'm being honest. I think he's an underrated grappler. I think he needs to take it to that route, or even I think he could even just make it a dogfight. I think Katona's going to kind of want to keep it slow and pretty, and Matthew Lopez is going to try to make it a dogfight, use that UFC experience to his advantage. But I don't know. I like Katona here. I think he has the higher ceiling for sure. I think he'll land the sharper strikes on the feet. Like I said, even drop him. But the line's off, and Matthew Lopez is he's kind of a value play in my opinion. I don't see it at such a wide line. I think it should be more like Katona minus 150. So when it comes to DraftKings underdogs, I like Matthew Lopez. I think it's going to be a split decision, but I'll ever so slightly edge the SPG guy to get SPG's 3rd win of the UFC calendar year. So I'll say Katona 29-28 split decision, but it's a close fight, man. So moving on to the next one, we got Alexander Rakic, I believe the biggest favorite of the card. He's minus 550, taking on Devin Brown Bear Clark plus 425. This is the other half of my parlay, man, with Chad Laprise. I have 6.2 units on this. I got Rakic at minus 420. Basically, man, I mean, his last fight against Justin Ledet, and it's crazy. He was a pick 'em odds in that fight, but he went out there, he 30-27. The guy, Justin Ledet, was a guy who some people thought very, very high of Justin Ledet, and I even still do, and I'm sure most people still do. Justin Ledet's a pretty decent, well-rounded fighter, but Alexander Rakic just showed that he's a next-level athlete. He's a serious, serious dude, man. He does it all. He's a great sharp striker. Real accurate striking for sure. Wrestling is there. I mean, this dude's for real. He's 26 years old. I think he's going to keep getting better and better. I just don't know why they made this fight against Devin Clark. Devin Clark, obviously, he's a wrestler, but and he's got some wins with the wrestling. I mean, but he's beating complete jobbers in the UFC like Stansberry, Collier. His last win against Rodriguez, that wasn't too impressive, but hey. Credit to him, the Jan Blachowicz. I think he was favored in that fight against Jan, and everyone was all over against Devin Clark there for sure. But I mean, looking back on it, that loss didn't age that badly for Devin Clark. I mean, we look at it now, hey, it's a loss against a top 5 light heavyweight, but the way he lost there, I mean, for sure. I mean, we can look at a guy's record and say, hey, he lost to this guy, but the way he lost to Jan Blachowicz, I mean, this guy has really bad fight IQ. He's a decent athlete that can kind of wrestle, and he can beat low-level fighters with the few tools he has. But a next level MMA athlete like Rakic, it's gonna be a struggle for Brown Bear here, man. I like Rakic to dominate him. I think Rakic is about to go out there and get another 30-25. I'll give Brown Bear the benefit of the doubt and say he survives. But I got Rakic 30-25 dominant decision, man.
Yeah, man. So shout out to MMA Newsom because he bet Ratchet's last fight versus Ledet, and I think he had a pretty big bet on him. And yeah, man, that was pretty embarrassing. I went on Ledet, man. I bet Ledet, and he got smoked that fight. The only thing he showed in that fight was that he has a lot of heart that he didn't get finished. But Ratchet like 10-8 every round, man, which is crazy. I've never seen a 30-24 in the UFC. Isn't that what it was? I think it was. A 30-24, I'm pretty sure.
30-25. I think it might have been like one of each. I don't remember.
Yeah, and I still have like high hopes for Justin Ledet. I think he's a pretty good fighter, but I mean that was crazy, man. And Ratchet's good, man. He's definitely one of the best prospects in the division. He's probably going to be a top 5 guy for sure. He needs a huge step up after this. He needs to fight like Jan or like Anthony Smith or someone up there. I think he's good, man. I think he has really good striking. He has good grappling. He didn't look that good against Barroso. He looked decent, but then like so many improvements, man, versus Patet. The one thing about Clark is that he has a good grappling game. Like he does have good wrestling, but I think he should be at 185. Like I feel like he's big for 205, but I feel like he might be a little undersized. I mean, Ratchet's probably one of the biggest 205ers out there. I think you're going to see the size difference in this fight. I don't think Clark's going to be able to take him down. I think on the feet, he's pretty chinny, to be honest. The striking's decent. He trains at Jackson's, the fraud camp. But besides John Jones, by the way, John Jones is the GOAT. But yeah, I just think Ratchet has to beat everywhere. So I think Ratchet's going to get a knockout here. So I got Ratchet by a second round knockout. So next fight, we got OAM versus Gilbert Burns. It's a close fight. I've been actually going back and forth this fight. When the fight got announced the first time, before Burns had that bad weight cut and got scrapped, I had OAM, and I was thinking about playing it. But now, I'm not going to be playing it. I am going with the French Canadian OAM. I think he's the better striker. I think he has a good jab. I think he has really good body kicks. I don't know if he's going to be throwing his kicks though, because Burns has the better wrestling. Burns could definitely drop him on his ass, because we've seen OAM. Like he's been his Tony Martin took his back. Diego Pereira kind of outgrappled him. Like he has a good grappling game too, but he can't get taken down. Alex Hernandez, who I bet OAM versus Alex Hernandez, and Hernandez kind of dominated that fight. Burns, he's a little chinny. We saw that last fight when Hooker smoked him, but he can crack too, man. He does have a good right hand. He has power. I just think on the feet, OAM could frustrate him. OAM, I think, could kind of just dance around and kind of pick him apart with his jab. But if it hits the mat, I don't think OAM's going to take Burns down. But if it hits the mat, I think Burns has the advantage. So it's a close fight. But I got to go with the decision here for OAM. I think he's going to win at 29-28. What about you?
This is a really interesting fight, man. It's going to be interesting to see how both guys bounce back, man. Both these guys are coming off devastating losses. OAM got his ass beat by Alexander Hernandez, and Gilbert Burns got absolutely starched by Dan Hooker. So, no shame in either of those losses for sure. So, it's interesting stylistically, because mostly they are predominantly grapplers. So I tend to think that not only are they going to both come out a little tentative here, I think the grappling is going to cancel out. I think they're going to want to. I think Burns thinks he can outstrike OAM, and I think OAM thinks he can outstrike Burns. So honestly, I think we're about to see two grapplers scrap it out here. And so who do I think is going to win the striking battle between them, man? Like Gilbert Burns, he hits hard for sure, and he smoked some jobbers in the past. But OAM, he's got a pretty good chin. He's never been knocked out. He's a solid chin. He's a tough dude. I think he might be able to pull off that nice TriStar game plan here and pick Burns apart with some jabs and maybe even beat him up in the clinch. I feel like OAM's the stronger dude. Like he's a massive man for that division for lightweight. I feel like he might be able to bully Gilbert Burns around in the clinch a little bit, maybe gain some clinch control time. I just think he's going to be kind of bullying Gilbert Burns in there for a good portion of the fight. He's probably going to pick up a 30-27 decision win here, in my opinion. But I wouldn't be that surprised. Gilbert Burns, he's coming off a serious KO loss, man. Sometimes when these guys get knocked out for the very first time, they just never come back the same. So, I don't know. Maybe OAM comes out here and starches them, and I think that's definitely a possibility. So, OAM, I think he might be a nice little sneaky contrarian DraftKings play here. So, I actually like OAM. I think he gets the job done here by a 30-27 decision, maybe even a late stoppage. So moving on to the next fight, man, we got Eric Anders plus 105 taking on Elias Theodorou minus 125. And what kind of person would I be if I didn't let Justin talk about this one first?
Yeah, so I bet a lot of people out there are going to be surprised when I'm about to say it, but I actually have Eric Anders in this fight, and I did bet him. I'm surprised he hit plus money, because I thought minus 120 was a steal, but now he's plus 105, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, I have 3 units on Eric Anders, and this is kind of funny because I'm high on both guys, but I never pick against Elias. Like I bet Elias, I'm like 4-1 I think on him, and I'm actually 0-2 with Anders. But I bet Anders in the cheat, and I bet him last fight versus Thiago Santos. But yeah, man, honestly, like it's a betting game. You can't always bet people you like. And pre-tape, I thought Elias was going to win this fight, and then I've been going kind of back and forth, but then I watched some more tape, and I switched my pick to Anders, and I actually bet him. So I think Elias definitely, is a very good point fighter. He definitely throws a lot of volume. He has good cardio, good chin. There's a lot of good things about Elias, but I just think the way you can beat him is land the bigger shots. And you saw Thiago Santos kind of dominate that fight. I think it was a 29-28. I actually watched that fight live, by the way. But I mean, his face, man, got messed up in that fight. Even Brad Tavares, like, Brad Tavares is kind of a point fighter too. He's a very technical guy, but he throws bombs too. He definitely landed the harder shots. I think a guy like Eric Anders can definitely, be pressuring him and land the bigger shots. He definitely has a very powerful left hand, and I see him pressuring him and hurting him in this fight. To be honest, a lot of people can say that Eric Anders doesn't have the volume that Elias does. Elias does have more volume than Eric Anders, but you watch the Tim Williams fight. He took the first round off. I think he just was kind of nervous because he just got his first loss against Machida, and it took him a while, man. But in the second round, he dominated that round, and then the third round, he finished him. I mean, and then last fight against Santos, took the fight on short notice. He looked good in that fight, man. I mean, it's not like he got brutally knocked out. He lost because he gassed out and exhaustion. There's people on Twitter telling me that he's he's taking this fight too short notice. Like he's gonna get KO'd here. I'm a big Elias fan, but Elias does not have power on the feet. He's not gonna knock out Eric Anders. I don't think he's gonna hurt Eric Anders at all. Anders could definitely just walk pressure him with his hands down, to be honest. And let's talk about the grappling advantage. I actually think Eric Anders is the better wrestler here, to be honest. Elias has taken down a lot of fights. He does, reverse, but I mean, I don't think Elias is going to be able to take down a guy like Eric Anders. Elias kind of does that a lot of fights. He tries to, get, short takedowns, kind of seal the rounds, but I don't think he's going to be able to take down Eric Anders. And to be honest, I think Anders could take him down. I think this fight's going to mainly contest on the feet, but I just see Elias, losing decision here or possibly getting his first knockout stoppage, man. I mean, to be honest, if you watch this fight with Trevor Smith, he did not look good. Yeah, you can say that his game plan was a lot different, which it was. He tried to brawl with Trevor Smith, and because that's a terrible chin. But I mean, Elias did not look good in that fight. I mean, he definitely won every round, but I feel like it was a lot closer than people think. And Elias needs to get back to his point game style because that's how he wins a lot of fights. But I just think that he could, Anders can do what Brad Tavares and Thiago Santos did. I think he's going to land the harder shots. I think he's going to hurt Elias. I think Elias is going to get dropped in this fight more than once. And my initial pick's going to be a decision, but I've been going back and forth to the finish. Screw it. I actually think Elias is going to get knocked out in this fight. And I got Eric Anders by a third round knockout here. The thing is, I'm high in both guys, but it's all about the matchup, man. I think Eric Anders is a good matchup. He's not going to get taken down. He's going to be pressuring him the whole time. He's going to land the bigger shot. So Elias definitely will throw the more volume, but I mean, is he going to hit? Some of that volume's not even going to hit Eric Anders. So, and the volume that does hit Eric Anders is not going to hurt him. And I think Anders is going to simply land the bigger shots, and I think he's going to hurt Elias, where Elias is not going to hurt Eric Anders. I don't care what anyone says. Yeah, maybe he's taking the fight. Maybe he should. I don't know. If he was fighting anyone else, he should probably take 6 months off. But the fact that he's fighting the guy with the least amount of power at 185. Win Elias, and I can bash Elias all I want because I like the guy. I bet on him multiple times. I like his betting style, but in my opinion, it's a bad matchup. I really do think Eric Anders is going to go out there and walk him down and knock him out. So I got Eric Anders by a knockout here. What about you?
Yeah, man, I think you nailed it for the most part. You brought up a lot of good points. Just to be a little bit of a devil's advocate, I kind of think Eric Anders, definitely you mentioned that Tim Williams fight, he kind of dropped that first round there. Even some rounds against Marcus Perez and Lyoto Machida. So, and even going back to his LFA fight, I don't know. Sometimes he can just get lazy in there. And I think a point fighting guy like Elias might be able to steal a round or two off of him. I think the starting late thing might definitely be a factor. I think, in my opinion, the way I see this going down, to make it short, I think he will start off a little slow. Elias is going to weasel his way, especially in that with being in his home crowd of Canada. I think he'll weasel that first round, but Eric will find himself. He'll start bullying Elias against the cage because he is the much more physical fighter. He's probably going to be landing the harder shots. I don't know if he finishes Elias. I definitely don't see a finish here either way. I like this fight to go the distance a lot. That's why I'm kind of avoiding it on DraftKings. So I actually don't think either guy will get a knockout here. I definitely like it to go to the scorecards. But I don't know, just being in Canada, Elias, weasel tactics, for sure. Eric is a better athlete, and he'll probably land the harder shots. So we'll see what the Canada judges think of this fight. We'll see how wacky it is, But I like your bet, man, especially now that Anders is plus 110. I think that's definitely the way to go. So I'll go with Anders. I'll say 29-28 unanimous decision for Eric Anders.
One thing I want to mention is that Elias is a slow starter too. I mean, he dropped the first round versus Tavares. He dropped the first round versus Matanti. So, he definitely is a slow starter. Both these guys have good cardio. I mean, you can't sit here and say that Elias has way better cardio here. Anders has been 5 rounds, and you can't just reflect it off last performance. Anders took that fight on short notice against Santos.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But I mean, yeah, it sucks that I'm fading Elias because I pick him every fight and I'm like 4-1 betting him, but I see a good matchup here the other way, so I had to do it. So,
yeah. Those Canadian judges with Elias's weasel point fighting, I don't know. It's scary to me, but I do wish you the best of luck.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm a little nervous because about that, but I actually think he's gonna get a finish in there, which is kind of crazy, but I think he will. But yeah.
That'd be interesting, man. You should definitely play a lot of Anders in tournaments then, because he's going to be pretty low owned.
I'm going to.
So moving on, man. This is my second and final play of the night. We got Caitlin Chookagian minus 175 taking on Jessica I plus 155. I got a nice little play on Caitlin Chookagian here. I have 5.2 units on her, minus 130 odds. I was able to come in here early and get the best possible line on my girl Chookagian. So here's the thing about Jessica I, man. Like I've bet against this girl multiple times. I've won most of the times. I've lost a couple times, especially here recently. I bet against her against Kalindra Faria and Jessica Rose Clark, and I lost both times. And a lot of people are bringing up that Jessica I made improvements, and I don't know. So, I mean, yeah, I guess it depends what you classify on improvements. Like, there's definitely things going better for her right now. Like the reason she's looking better in the fights, the move down to 125, that's definitely good for her. That's definitely Jessica I's weight class. She's definitely cleared up some of the mental issues that she's had in the past. So I think mentally she's there, and I think physically she's there. But when it comes to skill for skill, technique wise, I still don't think she's at the elite level, man. I mean, yeah, she can take down these girls with virtually no takedown defense. Yeah, she's throwing more. First of all, looking back at that the Kalindra Faria fight, Jessica I almost took a first round KO loss there. And this girl Kalindra Faria, she has, I mean, one of the worst fight IQs, no takedown defense. Like, oh man, like. If I knew how bad Faria's takedown defense was going into that fight, there's bets I wish I could have took back. But yeah, this is a completely different matchup, man. So Caitlin Chookagian, she's got the perfect grunt and run point fighting style, like a mini Holly Holm out there, except Caitlin Chookagian's on her athletic prime. Holly Holm got to the UFC a little too late, Caitlin Chookagian is a very good kickboxer for sure, and she knows how to win on points in the UFC. She has very impressive wins in her resume, man. So basically on the feet, like Jessica I know she had problems with volume in the past, but even now that she throws, like I just think the movement from Caitlin's gonna be too much for her. She's gonna be dancing around, she's gonna be grunting and running, she's gonna outstrike this girl. But then a lot of people are talking about what if Jessica I lands takedowns. Like, yeah, she took down Faria, who has no takedown defense. She got Jessica Rose Clark down once, but those girls really, like, it's a much different level, man. Those girls, let's put it this way. Kalindra Faria and Jessica Rose Clark wouldn't even be the champions in Invicta. Caitlin Chookagian, she's a current top 5 flyweight, man. And, she has the movement. Jessica is not going to be able to set up the takedown. She's too slow. And if it does happen to hit the mat, Caitlin Chookagian is no slouch down there, man. She's a Renzo Gracie brown belt. So I think if Jessica I does decide and can actually get it down to the mat, I think Chookagian can reverse, get back up to her feet, maybe even reverse, get up to a top position and ride it out there for a little while. So honestly, man, I like Chookagian wherever the fight goes. I think there's levels to this, and even with better performances from Jessica I, it's against different level fighters. Chookagian's got this. She's got the perfect game plan, and stylistically, it's Chookagian all day for me. So big play on her, 5.2 units. Let's go, Chook.
Yeah, I think that's going to cash. I also got Chookagian. I'm not going to play it, but I do think that she's going to win the fight. I faded Jessica I last fight. I know you did too with Jessica Rose Clark. You bet Rose Clark, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and yeah, that was embarrassing, man. Jessica, I definitely looked a lot more improved. She definitely looked better last fight. She definitely has the wrestling advantage here. But Caitlin, has good jiu-jitsu. I think she has a good kid game too. I know, Liz Carmouche took her down, but I think Liz Carmouche is a better grappler but yeah, is she a better fighter? Yeah, I think she's a better fighter, Jessica. Yeah, she's definitely on the decline, Carmouche, but she's beaten a lot of good girls. She's definitely a strong girl too. But back on the fight, yeah, Chookagian's definitely, a point fighter. I think she's like the female Elias. But actually, then she actually hits harder probably than Elias. But yeah, man, Chookagian, she's a tough girl. Trains, out of Ricardo Almeida with Frank Yeager and all those guys over there. She definitely has a beat in the feet. I don't know, like if it hits the mat, like just eye hold her down. Like I don't think she can, but I mean, I don't know. I see it being a close fight, but I do think that Caitlin's gonna win every round. So I got Caitlin by 30-27.
One more thing. She has a win over Ciara Eubanks, who, in my opinion, is the number one contender, the real number one contender in the flyweight division. Ciara Eubanks is one of the best grapplers in that division, in my opinion. Chookagian was able to stuff most of her takedowns, and when Ciara was able to take her down, she was able to get up. And Ciara, the difference between Ciara's grappling and wrestling to Jessica's grappling and wrestling, it's a very big difference, my friend. And I know that was Ciara early in her career, but yeah, it's only 3 years ago. Chookagian's ready for this chick.
Yeah, man, I do think she's gonna get the win. So next fight, we'll keep it short and sweet. We got Claudia Gadelha, aka T City Squeeze, versus Nina Ansaroff. And yeah, I got Claudia Gadelha in this fight. I actually do like the girl. I do think she's pretty good. She's definitely one of the best girls in the division. Yeah, she lost, her last fight versus Carla, but apparently the word was that she tore ACL, I think, before the fight. So maybe that's why she didn't look really good. She didn't look that good that fight. It was a close fight though, but she still lost the decision. But anyways, I think that she has a good game plan here versus Nina. I mean, she's a good grappler, man. She has really good takedowns. She's strong for the division. And Nina, doesn't Nina gets taken down a lot. I don't see how Nina's gonna stuff. Like if she stuffs first couple takedowns, could get interesting because on the feet, I think Claudia, her striking is not the best. It's definitely improved, but I think Nina is probably a little more technical. But Claudia puts a good pace on you. She pressures you. She hits hard too. But I mean, her grappling, her jiu-jitsu is really good. So I just think Claudia's going to take her down at will. And I got to finish, man. I think Claudia's going to finish her. So I got Claudia by a second round submission.
That's interesting, man. That's interesting. I got Claudia by a decision here. Honestly, I think I give Nina a better chance than most. I think if she is able to keep it on the feet, I give her a very good chance, man, especially in those later rounds, second and third. We know about Claudia's gas tank at this point. Another thing to think about, I mean, there's just enough reasons for me to stay away from Claudia at minus 300, whatever ridiculous number she is. For sure, Claudia is on the downward trend compared to where she was a couple years ago, to whereas Nina Ansaroff is definitely on an upwards trend. She's training at ATT. She's constantly surrounded by world champions, including her girlfriend, who I'm sure they share a lot of knowledge and experience with each other for sure. I don't know, man. I think she honestly outstrikes Gadelha if she keeps it standing, but I don't think she will keep it standing. I think Claudia is going to go out there and out-wrestle her the first 2 rounds. Then Nina will be able to outstrike her in the 3rd round after she kind of gasses a little bit. So, yeah, I mean, I don't really care about this fight too much, but I'll go with Claudia Gadelha 29-28, unanimous decision. So moving on to the next fight, we got Jimmy Manuwa versus Thiago Santos. This fight is finally happening, man. It got canceled last time. Thiago is a minus 220 favorite. Jimmy Manuwa is a plus 180. I actually agree with this line, man. I think Thiago Santos should be around a minus 200 favorite here, man. He's a lot younger. I think Jimmy has slowed down quite a bit these last few years. And Thiago, honestly, I know Thiago, like both these guys are kind of similar to where they're absolute glass cannons. They can dish out so much damage. Like both guys are so like, I mean, very hard hitters. Mostly Jimmy with his punches, Thiago with his kicks. But neither guy can really take a shot all that well. I mean, they're glass cannons. But the thing is, I think Thiago having to cut less weight, I think coming up to 205, that's going to be a good thing for him, man. I mean, honestly, besides that hiccup against Dave Branch, he's won like 4 out of his last 5 or 5 out of his last 6. Like Thiago's on a very nice run right now, including a win over like top 5 light heavyweight Anthony Smith. I think he runs through Jimmy here, man. I think he's got a lot left in the tank. This is an upcoming elite light heavyweight who's about to take out an elite light heavyweight that's on his way out. So it's just a circle of life, in my opinion. I think Thiago is going to be a great addition to 205, and obviously this is the fight of the card that's favored mostly to not go the distance. So this is the fight you got to target on DraftKings, guys. I think obviously Jimmy, he's a very nice price, and obviously he can win this fight. Like, don't get me wrong, he can definitely win this fight, especially if it goes into later rounds. Jimmy kind of picks up the pace. You look at that fight against OSP, like really once he started to he started to read OSP's moment really well. Like as soon as he figured out OSP, it was just game over. He'd shut his lights off quick. And he can definitely do that here if he goes into the later rounds. I just think Thiago's probably going to be too much at the beginning. So, I mean, whoever wins this fight, it's going to score a shit ton of points for sure. Even Thiago having to pay the juice for him, he's still my preferred play, man. I definitely think he gets this done. So I'm going to, in about 20 to 25 DraftKings lineups, like I'm going to have Thiago Santos in about like 80% of them, man.
Yeah, I also have Thiago Santos. You know, the thing is, Santos looked, really good recently, where Jimmy Manuwa was kind of looked on the decline. He looked really old versus Jan. I mean, Jan kind of beat his ass, and Jan went every round. But then again, Jan's a beast, bro. Jan's a top 3 guy in the division right now. Come at me, because Jan is a beast. I can't wait to bet Jan in the future. But anyways, more on this fight. So yeah, man. I mean, Jimmy Manuwa has the better boxing here for sure. I do think that. He has good pressure. He's a big 205er. But Santos has the better kick. Santos, he probably has the better chin too, and I think he's a little more well-rounded. I think Santos actually has the better wrestling. I don't know if he's going to use it here. He could definitely take down Jimmy Manuwa. I wouldn't be surprised, but I think they're going to be striking on the feet. I got to go with the more durable guy. I think Santos' chin is definitely better at 205. He took a lot of big shots from Eric Anders. He took some big shots from Kevin Holland too. But wait, that was a 185 though, right? Yeah, that was. But that's 2 fights ago. But still, though, I mean, I think Santos is more durable at 205. I think he's in his prime right now. Manuwa's kind of on the decline. So I'm going to go with Thiago Santos by a first-round knockout. But Jimmy Manuwa, I mean, if he can go out there, man, and do what David Branch did, I wouldn't be shocked. So it's not like I'm confident in Thiago Santos. I'm not betting it. But so I will have him on DraftKings, though. So next fight, we got my second play of the night. We got Hakeem the Fraud Dawodu versus Kyle Bochniak. And I got 4 units, I believe. Let me check real quick because I got to hold up real quick.
I think you do. You put 4 units on all your plays.
No, I got 3 units. I have 3 units on Anders, 3 units on Bochniak, and 4 units on the 2 other plays later on the card. Okay. So I got 3 units on Bochniak at plus 160, I believe. And yeah, man, I really think the Hakeem is definitely very susceptible to the right hand and the body lock takedowns. If you watch his fights, I mean, Danny Henry caught him with a good right hand, and then he tapped him out. Austin Arnett was catching him with the right hand, but Austin Arnett sucks, man. He's a jobber. I know, I was proud of him for winning his last fight, but I just don't think he's that good in the division, to be honest. And Kyle Bochniak, you can say what you want about him. He's like 2-3 in the UFC. I went back and watched, all of his fights. I watched the Barzola fight. It was really close. I mean, a lot of people thought it was a robbery. I could see it going either way. He got robbed against Charles Rosa. I thought he won that fight. He actually dropped Rosa with his right hand too, and that's Bochniak's best game. I think his right hand is really good, and I think he's going to be pressuring Hakeem. He's going to hurt him, man. I mean, one thing about Kyle Bochniak, he's not going to not throw like Austin Arnett. Austin Arnett was scared of being in the octagon. He hardly even threw. Bochniak's going to get right in his face. He's a dog. Did you watch the Zabit fight? That was crazy, man. Bochniak has a very good chin. He's an animal in there, man. He's going to go after the fight. He's going to be in Dawodu's face, and Dawodu doesn't like to get hit, man. This guy, he's trained as SPG too, so you can definitely say that, I think he's trained at a Canada camp too. But anyways, let's go back 3 fights ago. So Hakeem against Steven Seiler, who, yeah, he's in the finals in PFL. He's definitely looked a little more improved, but I don't think Steven Seiler is that good. And Seiler took us back twice. He took him down 2 times, took us back 2 times. And I think a guy like Bochniak is pretty good wrestling, man. He's also a ground up BJJ. I think he can definitely take him down and definitely take his back. But I just think on the feet, I think he's going to give that pressure. He's going to be an animal in there. And Hakeem does have decent striking. He is a little technical out there, but I think Bochniak has to get in the face and drop him with that right hand, man. So I got Kyle Bochniak with a finish here. I think he's going to drop him, man, and lay some heavy shots on the ground. So I got Kyle Bochniak by 2nd round finish.
Man, that would sure be nice because I got a lot of Kyle Bochniak in DraftKings. He's probably my favorite underdog of this card, man. Now, I mentioned earlier I want to take just the easy money until I get back on track, but I would say out of all the underdogs in this card, I do like Kyle Bochniak. I think that line is definitely off. It's basically just because you got the home crowd guy, and he's kind of a stud athlete. He's a specimen. He's a 9-0 kickboxer. I mean, this guy's a winner for sure. There's probably a reason he's favored. I think it should be a lot closer though. Like I think these. Honestly, I think I line this fight around Pick'em for sure. Both guys definitely have a path to victory. I think Hakeem needs to do what Kyle Bochniak did against Brandon Davis. He needs to be the more technical fighter and make it a pretty fight. Kyle Bochniak needs to go in there and make it a fucking dogfight, man. Because I don't know if Hakeem's ready for that kind of fight. Like Hakeem, I don't know. Hakeem is one of those guys that comes off to me that's more of an athlete than he is a fighter. He's just an athlete that's in the fight game. But this is a winnable fight for him, man. Kyle Bochniak, I mean, he's not the best fighter in the world. His UFC record is what it is for a reason. But that being said, like he's racked up a few fights in the UFC now. He's definitely got more high level experience than Hakeem Dawodu. Now Hakeem's only lone loss against Danny Henry, who me and you are very high on Danny Henry. I don't think there's not much shame in that loss, to be honest. But really, if anything, I think more of a red flag was the wins against Steven Seiler and his last fight, Austin Arnett. Like that was a big red flag as well. Like you mentioned how he got his back taken against Seiler, and then against Arnett, like dude, he had Arnett outgunned so bad. Like it's a real shame that Austin Arnett has literally pillow fist and no KO power whatsoever. Because if Austin Arnett had any KO power whatsoever, he would have made that a hell of a fight. And I think that's what Kyle Bochniak's going to do here. I think he does have some power to him. And I think he's going to get Hakeem's respect, and he's going to make this a dogfight. So I'm going to go with Kyle Bochniak. I say Kyle Bochniak wins a very greasy 29-28 split decision. I think you cash your bet, man.
I want to add a couple more things. I mean, look who Bochniak's fought. He lost to Zabit. He lost to Junior Bacon Cheeseburger, who's a pretty good grappler who should be still in the UFC. Hakeem's not going to go out there and take this guy down. I'll tell you that right now.
Oh, no.
And the Charles Rosa fight was on short notice in 4 days, and I thought he won that fight, man. I mean, look at his cardio, man, in that fight. I mean, Kyle Bochniak's pace and his cardio is really good. He's not going to get tired in this fight. I'll tell you that right now. But I just like how this guy's an animal. He's going to be in his face, and I don't think Hakeem's ready for that. I don't see how Hakeem's going to be able to deal with that pressure. And once that right hand hits, I'm telling you, man, he's super susceptible to that right hand. So I think he's going to get dropped and get finished.
He's the perfect kind of guy you want to have your money on because you're getting max effort.
Yeah, that's what a lot of the guys are saying on Twitter in our group.
So best of luck to you, man.
Thanks, man.
So moving on to the next fight, you got a bet here too, man. So Gunnar Nelson's a -135 favorite. He's taking on the Howboy, Alex Oliveira, +115. Tell the people about your bet.
Yeah, man. So this is my third play of the night, and I do have 4 units on Gunnar Nelson at -140. And he hasn't fought in a year and a half. I actually bet him versus Ponzi. And to be honest, I don't want to sit here and sound like I'm like what's the word? I don't know what the word I'm looking for. Like bias on Gunnar, but to be honest, he got eye poked really bad in that fight, and he won the first striking exchange. Yet he backed up Ponzi, and it looked like Ponzi got hurt, and then Ponzi eye poked him. Actually, Ponzi eye poked him in that striking exchange, so he literally hurt Ponzi and then got eye poked. And Ponzi got a first round knockout, but Gunnar Nelson couldn't even see. He even said after the fight he was blind in that fight. I think Gunnar Nelson's a good fighter, man. And a lot of people are saying that Howboy's the better striker. I think it's close on the feet. I think Gunnar Nelson's definitely the faster guy on the feet, and I think he has good striking, man. I mean, he was beating Tuganov on the feet. I mean, he's beating Joba on the feet. Yeah, Joban's chinny, but he's still a good striker. And Howboy, man, he is a good striker. He just knocked out Pedersoli in 40 seconds. I mean, Pedersoli's Pedersoli. Pedersoli's not Gunnar Nelson. Gunnar Nelson's a top 10 guy. His grappling's legit. Howboy's been tapped out 3 times. I think the safe, plan is Gunnar goes out there and does what he always does, which he tries to go for the takedown, gets him down, chokes him out. But on the feet, man, should get interesting, man, because I think Gunnar's pretty durable. He's definitely got dropped against Rick Story. He took some big shots against Tuganov, but the knockout against Ponzi, that's his first knockout. He actually does get hit, sometimes, but he has a good chin. He can take a shot. And Howboy can take a shot too, but he's definitely taken more damage. I feel like than Gunnar. I mean, look at the war he just took last year against Yancey, bro. I mean December. It was in December. It was like a year ago from here. Yeah, it was a year ago from now. I mean, he quit in that third round. He broke his nose, but I mean, he quit, dude, versus Yancey. And then, Condit, that was kind of a sluggish win. I mean, he got his back taken, bro, twice in that fight. I mean, if a guy like Condit, who's on the decline and washed up, can take this guy's back, what do you think Gunnar Nelson's going to do? Gunnar Nelson has one of the best ground games in the division by far. So I think on the feet, it could be a feeling out process, but I mean, make no mistake about it. Gunnar Nelson's going to get him to the ground. That's his whole game. And the fact that Howboy's been, tapped out 3 times, I just think it's a matter of time. So I think on the feet, it could be interesting, because Gunnar has a very good jab. He has a good 1-2, good right hand. And Howboy's, pretty good on the feet too. Good kicks, good right hand as well. He's very good in the clinch, but I just think Gunnar Nelson's going to mix those in those takedowns. He's going to be winning the striking exchanges on the feet. And then right when he knows he has Howboy, hurt, he's going to take him down. He's going to take his back. He's going to choke him out and give Howboy his 4th loss. I mean, 2 of Howboy's last 3 losses are by submission against Cowboy, Cerrone, and against Gilbert Burns at 155. So I just think there's a big advantage here on the mat for Gunnar Nelson. And Gunnar Nelson, he got knocked out his last fight. I think one of the reasons is because of the eye poke, but he's still a top 10 guy, man. And I mean, Howboy's a good fighter too. I just think there's levels, and I think Gunnar has a huge advantage of the mat, and he's going to get him down. So I got Gunnar Nelson. I'm gonna go out here on the win, but I got Gunnar Nelson by a 1st round submission here. What about you?
Nice, man. I agree with you. I got Gunnar Nelson here. I got him by, I'll say, submission in the 2nd round, but it's a very good fight. Alex Oliveira, this is going to be a scrap, man. This is my pick for fight of the night. I think it's really going to get – it might get a little sweaty for you in there at a couple points. Howboy Oliveira is definitely he's another one of those max effort guys. The dude's a fucking beast in there. I think Gunnar Nelson is one of my favorite fighters in the UFC, and I was trying not to be too biased for this one, and ultimately I still am picking him just because, his advantage in this fight on the mat. I think it's again, man. I always bring up levels to this game when it comes to Gunnar Nelson's jiu-jitsu versus Alex Howboy's jiu-jitsu. It's just not even in the same realm. So if it does happen to hit there at one point, it's going to be a gigantic advantage for Gunnar Nelson, and that alone would scare me off enough from taking Alex Howboy as an underdog, unless it just got absolutely ridiculous, like plus 200. But at this price, man, Gunnar Nelson has got to be the way to go, because if it does hit the mat, he's got it. And then even on the feet, man, Gunnar Nelson, offensively, he can get a rhythm. He can go out there he outstruck, before he ended up submitting him ultimately. He outstruck Albert Tumanov, who. He's not in the UFC anymore, but we know what an amazing striker that guy Albert Tumanov was or is. I haven't even seen one of his fights in a while. I don't even know how he's doing. But that was an impressive win, man. He's went out there and knocked out Joe Ban. Joe Ban's kind of a chinny guy, but
he tapped him out.
Yeah, he dropped him. He hurt him on the feet, and then he tapped him out. Kind of like what he did to Tumanov. He outstruck him and then tapped him out. And I think he might come out here and surprise people and outstrike Howboy and then submit him. Gunnar Nelson is no slouch on the feet at all, man. It's just a matter of he leaves a lot of holes on the mat for himself. Not on the mat, on the feet. He leaves a lot of holes in his defense. His defense has a lot to be desired for sure. And a guy as brutal and as much of a sniper as Howboy, he could take advantage of that, but. I think Gunnar, he's going to hold up. He'll get through the scrappy moments. Another thing is the layoff. That's a little worrying, but skill for skill, man. Gunnar Nelson wins this fight for sure, in my opinion. So I got Gunnar Nelson's 2nd round submission in a fight of the night effort, in my opinion.
I want to add one more thing, sorry, but Howboy gets hit a lot too. I mean, you can say Gunnar Nelson, has his hands down when she does, but Howboy gets hit a lot. Howboy got dropped twice in the Yancey fight and then got his nose broken in the 3rd. So he's a brawler, man. He definitely does get hit a lot, and people are acting like Gunnar Nelson has no striking. His striking is actually really good, man. So, and he's also looking shredded. I mean, he's on those vitamins again. He was on those same vitamins when he fought Tumanov too. So. And he left SPG. He's training in Iceland now, which is definitely something, in my opinion, that's way better than training in SPG.
Yeah, that's actually a decent underrated gym out there in Iceland too. I know they produced one decent Icelandic woman fighter. I forget her name, but there's some talent out of that gym. Gunnar Nelson's dad is a beast.
Yeah, he took a year and a half off, man, and I feel bad about the eye poke because he looked good, man. I know it was in the first 15 seconds of the fight, but I mean he hurt Ponzi and then he got eye poke, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
So
man. So moving
what?
on to the co-main event of the evening, we got a fight for the vacant 125-pound women's title. We got Valentina Shevchenko minus 350 taking on Joanna Jędrzejczyk plus 290. You want to start with this one?
Yes, I do. So we got Shevchenko versus JJ, and it's a weird fight. It's definitely a close fight. Both these girls are really good. JJ's definitely going to be the smaller girl. Shevchenko's definitely going to be the bigger girl. I wonder if Shevchenko tries to take her down because I think she does have the grappling advantage. She probably can get takedowns and probably has better jiu-jitsu, on the ground. But JJ has a pretty good takedown game. But I don't know. I want to see what the size difference is. I do think Shevchenko's going to have not a lot, but I think she's going to be the bigger girl. So if she wants to be safe, she can try to take her down, but on the feet, I mean, she's obviously won 3 fights in the Muay Thai, competition. But I just think that Shevchenko is the better striker. I think that she has really good movement and she's super technical on the feet. She's used to fighting the bigger girls too. JJ is a good striker too, but I just think, the fact that she's, fighting a bigger girl, man, I don't know, man. Like JJ has good technique too. She has very good pressure, very good striking. I just think Shevchenko's going to be hitting harder than her, man. And a lot of people, say that Shevchenko doesn't have a lot of power, but I can see Shevchenko hurting JJ in this fight, to be honest. I mean, JJ just got, smoked 2 fights ago, man. So she looked really good versus Tisha Torres, but that's Tisha Torres. That's not Shevchenko. Shevchenko's still one of the best girl fighters in the world, and she arguably beat Amanda Nunes last fight. I actually bet Shevchenko last fight, and I thought she won the fight, man. I mean, I do think she got robbed, but maybe I'm a little biased, but yeah, I just think Shevchenko is the better fighter here, and I think she's going to get the win. I think it's going to be a. Does she go out there and get a finish? I mean, a part of me wants me to. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to go Shevchenko for the finish. I got her in the 4th round.
Sub?
No, I got TKO.
Oh, interesting, man. Yeah, this is a crazy fight, man. This is an awesome fight. I'm really looking forward to it. Like 2 of the best women's MMA fighters, like technique wise, like this is a dream fight. This is amazing. It's real interesting from a DraftKings perspective because I do ultimately favor Shevchenko in this fight. I think she's going to ultimately outpoint Joanna over the course of 5 rounds, mix up some grappling and striking. But, man, I think when going at 5 rounds, the pace that Joanna strikes, how accurate she is, I think in a loss, Joanna at such a good price point of like minus 68 or 6,800 or 6,900, whatever she is, I think Joanna's going to score about 40 or 50 points in a 25-minute fight, even in a loss. And then on the other side, Shevchenko, I think this is going to be a really high-scoring fight, man. I think Shevchenko, even at 9,400, I think she has a very good chance to pay off her price tag because, she could finish this fight. I think on the mat, she's got a pretty decent submission advantage or grappling advantage. But you're right, on the feet, she's bigger. She's probably going to bully Joanna at some points, and she's just going to land the harder shots. And she's got her number as well. I like Shevchenko here, man, but from a betting perspective, I think it's a pass from DraftKings. I think Joanna you have to play for sure just because the price is so cheap. And even in a loss, she's going to score well. And then a contrarian play. I don't think a lot of people are going to be taking Valentina Shevchenko at 9,400, but I think she scores very highly, man. I mean, this is a 25-minute fight. This is what you got to play. So I'm good with either girl in DraftKings here, but I'm going to say Shevchenko wins a decision, but the line might be a little off. I don't think Joanna quite deserves to have a plus 290 next to her name against anyone in the world. So, yeah, Shevchenko by, I'll say 48-47, unanimous decision. So moving on to the main event of the evening, the 145-pound title. We got Max Holloway minus 125 taking on Brian T. City Ortega plus 105. It was canceled last time, man, but we're here now. Hopefully everything's okay health-wise with Max Holloway. It's interesting that they have my boy Renato Moicano waiting in case anything happens here. That would be a interesting fight either way, but hopefully this is the one we get, man. And I hear you have a bet, so tell the people what's up.
Yeah, man. I have 4 units on the underdog T City plus 110. I think I'm like 4-0, man, betting on T City, and I'm not gonna be picking against this guy, man, for a long time, maybe ever, to be honest. I think the sky's the limit for this kid. I think he's really good. I think Max is a good fighter too, but I mean, there's so many things going on with Max right now. The whole, got concussed in practice. He had to pull out of the fight. He's going through depression. Apparently, he's suing something, or I think they're suing something. His company. I don't know what's going on with him. I mean, he hasn't fought in a year. He's still a great fighter, Max Holloway, but this old man in his game. And one thing is, he gets hit a lot, man, and he's a slow starter too. I mean, if you watch the two Aldo fights, I mean, he was getting hit with some big shots and against Aldo, man, and a guy like Brian Ortega, man, his striking's come a long way. I mean, the striking, wasn't that good when he first came in the UFC, and I mean, ever since the Moicano fight, man, his striking looked so good. I mean, did anybody see him knocking out Frankie Edgar? I don't think so. I didn't see it. I thought he was going to tap him out, but the elbow we hit against Frankie Edgar, they knocked him out with that up, dropped him with that uppercut. I mean, the thing with Max Holloway is he's not going to be able to put T City away. There's no way he finishes T City. I'm telling you right now. If Max wins this fight, it's going to be a war decision. And Brian's going to be in his face the whole time. He's going to be pressuring Max Holloway too, which something Max won't be, used to, because Max pressures every opponent every fight. T City's not going to get back up against defense. T City's going to be pressuring the whole fight. And I really do see T City hurting him on the feet, man. Once he hurts him on the feet and Max drops, it's over, bro. T City, all he needs is 1 second on the ground, and it's all she wrote. This guy has the best ground game in the division. This guy is going to beat Khabib when they fight. I'm telling you right now, Khabib's fucked, man. He's going to tap him out in the first round when they fight. So I just think T City, man, is just legit, man. I'm very high on this guy. I mean, he's huge for 145. He's durable. He has a good chin, great cardio. I mean, you can say Max is big. Oh, they've had the same reach. So I think T City, man, is, his striking look really good, man. Good boxing, good jab. And, I like Max Holloway. He's a good champion, man. But I just see him, man, getting hurt, man, in that first round. I'm telling you right now, he's going to get hurt in the first round. And once he gets hurt, Brian can do a number of things. So I don't think Brian's going to go out there and try to take him down either. Like, we don't see that in Ortega's game. T-City's not – I mean, I think he tried to take down Cub Swanson, but that's Cub Swanson. His takedown defense is terrible. Okay, Max actually has good takedown defense. And obviously Max is not going to take down Ortega. But if you watch in their fights, you could say T-City's a slow starter too, but – he wasn't a slow starter in the Edgar fight, and he was beating Cub on the feet in the Cub Swanson fight as well. The Moicano fight was 1-1 going in the third round. If anyone on Twitter or anybody in the comments want to say that Moicano's winning both those rounds, then please message me. We can have a debate about that, because I don't know what you guys are watching. That was definitely 1-1. T-City hurt Moicano on the feet. Why do you think Moicano went for a takedown? So I don't know why all these people are saying T-City striking is not on the level of Max. I think T-City has very good striking. I think it's on the same level as Max. And we're going to see on Saturday, because he's going to hurt Max on the feet. Max gets hurt with big shots, man. He keeps his hands down. He's too cocky out there. I don't like it, man. I just think a guy like Brian Ortega is going to take advantage of it, man. So I'm going to go out on a whim, make a statement, but I got T-City by a first-round submission. I think he's going to drop him on the feet. And he could definitely hurt him with an elbow, but I think he's going to hurt him with his right hand. So I got T-City, and he's going to be holding that belt for a very long time.
Man, that's a very bold prediction there. I honestly, I'm gonna have to disagree with you. Not for the most part. I think he made a lot of good points for sure, and I definitely don't think Max Holloway should be highly favored by any means, man. And I definitely think I hope he's okay health wise, because I'm gonna talk about the healthy version of Max Holloway. Like, I'm gonna talk about the version of Max Holloway that we've been seeing. But, if he does come in here with, if he has some health issues and that does affect him in the fight, like, Brian Ortega is not the person you want to be fighting if you're having some medical issues. And Brian Ortega will take advantage of that and snatch you up. But the problem is, if we get a healthy Max Holloway in here, man, I think he can avoid the submission of Brian Ortega. Max Holloway has a very, very high underrated fight IQ. I mean, this dude, in my opinion, is one of the best. Like, this win streak that he's on, like, that's like legendary status. Like, I don't want to compare him to John Jones or anything, but this dude has put together like quite the amazing resume. Like, he was in the UFC as such a young kid. He took an L against I want to say, was it Bermudez?
Dustin Poirier.
Poirier super early.
He got tapped out, by the way, so he has been submitted before.
Yes, he has been submitted. It's been a very long time. He was a kid. But man, he is yeah, he's improved so much. We've watched this kid grow up in front of our eyes, and he's obviously his chin is very good in my opinion. He was the only one to not get knocked out by Conor McGregor in that amazing run he had. In my opinion, looked pretty decent in that fight. That might have been like his breakout performance because he went on a hell of a run since then. And honestly, man, I'm gonna say Max Holloway. I think his striking is I think it is on a different level than Ortega. Like, I'll give Ortega credit. He has improved his striking a lot, and knocking out Frankie Edgar is an amazing feat. Like, dude's legit. And Brian Ortega has underrated power, too. He hits hard, and he means fucking business in there. He's a tough guy. He's a big featherweight. But I think just technique-wise and boxing-wise, I think Max Holloway, he's going to be landing the more volume. Even winning these fights for Brian Ortega, if you look at his UFC record, he's getting outstruck by all these guys. Frankie Edgar even getting knocked out in the first round. Frankie Edgar landed more strikes than Brian Ortega. Cub Swanson landed a lot more strikes than Brian Ortega. And I know I can argue bullshit statistics. Brian Ortega still went out there and won that fight. But I don't know. This is a whole different animal he's fighting. He's finally, I don't want to say finally, Moicano is like a top 3-4 guy, but he's fighting an elite champion at this point. And I think this might be first L time for T-City. I think Max, if he's healthy, he avoids the sub and he outstrikes T-City. I think, honestly, like there's a good chance it could happen for sure, but I think if T-City wins this fight, he needs to get a sub. I don't see him knocking out Max. I don't see him decisioning Max. I think it has to be a submission, in my opinion, just because I think when it comes to the striking, Max is sharper. He has more volume. I think if T-City hits harder, and maybe he can test that chin of Max, and that's definitely going to be bad for him if he's not healthy. But I don't know, man. If we get a healthy Max Holloway, I think he should be like a -150 to -160 favorite. But we'll see. T-City has proved me wrong many times. I've bet against T-City. You mentioned being like 4-0 on him. I'm like 0-3 on him. So we'll see, man. We'll see. T-City can definitely get it done. But Max Holloway is like, he's legend status, bro. Like, he's very, very good.
One thing I want to mention too before we end it is that he always finds a way, T-City. That's one thing I like about him. Like, he could be losing the fight, but he always finds a way. He's undefeated, man, for a reason. And I don't think this is first out time. I really don't. Max is a good fighter, man. Max, could definitely be picking him apart, I feel like, maybe in the beginning. But, I mean, once T-City gets inside, like, that power, man, like, I mean, the fact that Max got concussed in practice, he's not healthy right now. I mean, there's a lot of stuff, man, going on. And you can't take away that Aldo hit him with some big shots in both fights. And, yeah, he took him on the chin. But that's Aldo, man. And, I mean, that's Aldo on the decline, too. I mean, you could say Aldo's still a good fighter, which he is, but I don't know, man. A guy like T-City, like if they brawl out there, man, like I think it's only going to favor T-City.
If you're into prop bets, Ortega by submission plus 220, Holloway by decision plus 200. That's my two likely outcomes there: Holloway decision or Ortega submission.
So, a little recap of our plays. So, I have 4 plays. I have 4 units on T-City plus 110. I got 4 units on Gunner at -140. I got 3 units on Bochniak at plus 160, and 3 units on Anders at -120.
Damn, man, it's gonna be a sweaty night for you, bro.
I mean, every night when it comes to betting, is definitely can be a sweat fest at times. So
for sure. But I got 5.2 units on Chookagian -130, and I got 6.1 units on Laprise parlayed with Rakic. I got that at -149 and -155. Looking forward to this night of fights, man. I think we got a really nice fight of the night potential. Alex Oliveira versus Gunnar Nelson. Amazing mixed martial arts fight right there. A fight that we know is going to end violently. Manuwa Santos. And then we got prospects throughout, man. We got the Alexander Rakics of the card. I think we got a future title challenger and Caitlin Chookagian on the card. I'm really looking forward to it, man. 2 title fights. It's good, man. Let's do it.
I can't wait, man. So yeah, guys, we'll be back next week for I believe the Milwaukee card. Can we rematch versus Iaquinta? Let us know in the comments below who you guys have in the main event, and yeah, so we'll be back, and I hope everyone catches in later, guys.
Thanks, guys.